On this episode of CuestaDos, we only take 2 weeks to come back and record. Um, Same old crappy episode. I'm just kidding. But within this episode,
I
we
have
talk.
a camera.
He has a camera. We have video back. If everyone could see, David could wave to people now. And his autofocus goes crazy sometimes. And you see it throughout the episode. It's interesting. Like right now, it's just going back and forth. Anyway, we talk about the open world Pokemon game that we've been calling for as Pokemon fans and gamers for years that we're finally getting in 2022. We talk about UFOs one more time, and damn it, more people need to be talking about UFOs. We talk about the insane card that is UFC 259. And even though there were other fights that went on over these past few weeks, they don't matter because that's how good this card is. We talk about the fan controlled football league, Johnny Manziel reviving his career and just having fun. Mm-hmm. Then we talk about the no fun league, the NFL, and the things that have gone on there and the offseason around the corner. And then we round out talking about NBA and their surprises this year, plus the All-Star game, their snubs. So without any further ado, enjoy the show, people. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of CuestaDos. I'm Alex. He's David.
I am
trying to catch up with my hair and failing terribly because his luscious locks are luscious.
Never gonna catch up.
Everyone can see last episode we didn't have cameras going because David didn't have his webcam. He has his, and it's nicer looking than mine now, and I hate him for it.
It looks gorgeous.
It does. For those of you that aren't watching, it looks very nice.
You can see me in HD.
You could
catch me in 4K.
You could see his black eye in HD.
Yeah, you sure can.
So, Dave, tell everybody about your black eye. Tell everyone about how you're doing.
So I'm doing pretty well. My black eye happened because I work with hoses and PVC fell on me. That's basically what happened. But it's whatever.
He could have lost an eye.
No.
Why you always wear your safety glasses, kids?
Nah.
But
definitely should.
You probably should with what you do. The man works with chlorine and bisulfite. When mixed together, creates mustard gas. Fun fact about
I don't work with the bisulfite. I work with
Cluda. But anyway, so I'm doing okay as well. If anyone noticed a new addition to my little thing back here, where's my finger? This thing, my Star Trek Enterprise. Mm-hmm. I love it. It's a mistake. I shouldn't have this. It was a gift from my father. It was a major Trekkie, turned me into a Trekkie. But it was a gift that Famtech, great company. One of the lights didn't work. Didn't ask me many questions, so I'm going to take a few pictures of it. Sent my dad a new one. No questions asked. So thank you, Famtech. Now we have two Enterprises, and it looks really cool, and it helps my nerdiness. But we're going to get going. We're going to have fun with this show. First thing I want to do while we're back, I think it only took us 2 weeks to get back this time, which is, hopefully.
I felt like it was longer.
Pretty good. I think it was only 2 weeks. Wow. So your hair says it was only 2 weeks. But one thing I want to say is the way Dave and I go about picking our topics is I think we like to do our sports. We like to do things that interest us, but we also like to stay away from a lot of the crap that goes on in the world. You could turn on the news. You could turn on any major news network. You could turn on your nightly news, and you'll find out about all the negative going on. All the negative. You'll find out about who got killed, who got raped, who did this, who stole that, what corruption, who did we bomb today, things like that. What you won't find many of the times, besides George Stephanopoulos' final segment of This World Today or whatever the heck he does, you won't find many good news stories. So while we're not necessarily providing good news stories, we're not sitting there getting into the deep, dark depths of the underworld and telling you about how terrible the world is every time. Dave, any comment on how, what is your mindset? Is that similar to where I'm at, where we're talking about what we like, but we're staying away from the crap?
Yeah, it's generally that. I like positivity in my podcast. Honestly, I like having fun, and the negative stuff isn't really having fun, and you hear it anyway. So why would we?
Yeah. We'd probably get more listeners if we talked about all the same crap as everybody else does. But hey, we're content never making money. But so, Dave, let's jump right into it. Let's talk about some of the things that we like that maybe no one else likes at past our ages that we're at.
That's false. That's false. The first thing we're going to talk about is a lot of people our age is going to like.
Yeah.
Honestly. Open world Pokemon hype. There's a new game coming out early 2022 called Pokemon Legends Arceus, made by made by Game Freak, Pokemon Company, the same usual. And it's literally an open world Pokemon game where you can run around and actually throw Pokeballs and catch the Pokemon. There's wild Pokemon everywhere. It looks like it's in alpha right now. You can go see the trailer. It kind of looks like the Breath of the Wild, but who cares? Because it looks fun. Now,
you could battle too, I saw.
You can battle. You can battle a wild Pokemon to catch them. I have no idea what the story is going to be. I'm assuming going to be able to fight trainers and everything as well. But my biggest qualm is that Pokemon recently hasn't been as good as Pokemon can be, especially with Sword and Shield. Now take this with a grain of salt because I haven't actually played through the full games, but I have many friends who have, who usually like Pokemon, who said, yeah, this one wasn't very good. So the hope is 2 years, first dip into open world Pokemon. They're going to give it their all. It's going to be very good. That's what I'm hoping. And I probably will get it if I feel like it, if I feel like I have the funds to.
So a few things I'm looking for out of the game because I think it only comes out for Switch. So in 2 years, I need to get a Switch or I need to get whatever system
not difficult.
out in 2 years.
Yeah,
that's going to be necessary because it's by the Nintendo company. It's by Pokemon company. So it's going to be for Nintendo. They're not going to branch this out to Xbox and PlayStation. Not quite yet. I feel like if it just becomes gigantic, they might port it out, but not yet. It's going to be an exclusive Nintendo. So I'm going to have to buy one. I am going to say Game Freak is a little scary based off of some of the things they have done. The first trailer they put out with some gameplay did look good. The graphics look good. The gameplay looks smooth. You're running through the tall grass, which you're not supposed to do, but that's, you know what I mean? Like that's dangerous. Around. Don't go through the tall grass without a Pokemon. Professor Oak. But I made the joke, like I want Bethesda to do this because either Bethesda or Rockstar, because who does open world better basically than those two currently? But Game Freak looks like they're going to take a stab at it. Looks like it's might be good. Like you said, the story is definitely going to be big because that's been, I think, the biggest hitch with Pokemon in terms of your established Pokemon fans. Because I think Sword and Shield are good enough that if you're a young kid and you never picked up Pokemon before, it's still a good enough game to hook you into the series.
Yeah.
We're all established Pokemon fans. I go back to playing Red and Blue. Your generation's Emerald.
I played Red and Blue.
You played it, but your generation's more the Emerald and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You guys, like a lot of your kids that didn't have older brothers, that's what you guys started with, which were all, if you're looking at like top 100 games of all time, you could put a bunch of the Pokemon games probably in the top 100 games category. So you're putting it up to high hopes. I really hope that while they give us a great story, they also make this first one meat and potatoes. Walk around, catch Pokemon, battle gyms, defeat evil. Overarching story of defeating evil in the end. Like the beauty of Pokemon Red and Blue was you were battling Team Rocket, battling the big bad, all while trying to get to the Indigo Plateau. Like the end of the game was still becoming the greatest trainer of all time. It wasn't defeating the big bad. You did that anyway. You went through that and you did that. So I'm really hoping they go meat and potatoes. The goal is to become the greatest trainer in the region, possibly to tame Arceus and capture him or any of the other gods or any of the other legends they associate in there. I'm hoping that they keep it simple and they don't make this game more than what it needs to be in order to be probably the biggest selling game of all time if they do this correctly.
Yeah, this game could be really fun. And I think one of the aspects that I think they really need to worry about is catching the Pokemon, because if you do it wrong, that can get very repetitive and very annoying to do. if you have to keep doing the same old thing again, you have to keep grinding it out. People like grinding in games. There's the reason why a lot of JRPGs exist.
A lot of people like Dark Souls
and MMOs. But I'm just saying, and people like grinding in games.
Yeah,
but they don't want it to be so boringly repetitive, which I could see happening if they don't make it correctly. But 2 years, I'm going to say they should do it right.
Now, Pokemon's massive, and it's always going to get the hype.
Yeah.
But are we going to get too much hype right now? Is this too early to announce this where we're going to get your Cyberpunk hype, which is a very good game, but it's not the game to end all games. It's not the Destiny hype. Again, very good game, but not the game they made it out to be. We know what Pokemon should be. We know what Pokemon is.
Yeah.
Are we going to all get ourselves way too hyped for this? Is it going to be probably a fan issue more than a developer issue where whatever Game Freak does, it's going to be a letdown because we're all going to bring it too big?
I don't know. Possibly. I'm not as in tune with the Pokemon community. So they maybe get it a little too hype, or they may actually not care as much because of the recent letdowns. They might be like, okay, let's see how this goes. I have no idea. Hopefully it just comes out and it's a solid game that you could play. That's what I look forward to mostly.
If it's a solid game, if it's literally just a solid game, I think it has a chance of being the highest selling game of all time because my generation, the big gamers, the older quote unquote gamers, this is probably most of our favorite games that we played as a kid, besides your Sonics and your Crash Bandicoots. It's right up there. And then your generation takes to it. And now this new generation, Pokemon cards have become again. Our nephews want Pokemon cards. My daughter just got a set of 4 from McDonald's, and now she's going to want more. So it's making its mini resurgence. But one thing that we're not paying attention to enough that we need to be paying attention to, Dave, which me and you have been talking about on this show for almost a year now.
Yeah, we have actually.
UFOs, which aren't UFOs anymore because they've been confirmed that.
Well, they're not called UFOs anymore. I can't remember the acronym now, but it's not UFO.
But for lack of a better term, UFOs, again, essentially confirmed to just be chilling in our atmosphere, messing with our fastest things that we have, and basically saying like, cool, bro, we're going to kill you if you mess with us. Essentially, that's all I'm getting out of it. So backstory. There was another Airbus, a big Airbus flying. I don't know where they were flying to, but they made a call to control. And essentially it's like, I didn't think I'd be making this call, but do we have any projectiles in the area? We just had something right above us, a cylindrical shape that just coasted right by us. And this is a fully moving Airbus, which I think goes something like 700 miles per hour. It's like maybe too fast, but like 400. It's obscenely fast. And apparently this thing just buzzed right by it. Dave, when the hell are we going to stop caring about Saudi Arabia, Russia, Trump, Biden, and start caring about the fact that aliens are just sitting here going, idiots. That's it. Idiots. We'll
I know. I know. I think it's the coolest thing, and we've reiterated this multiple times now that people should pay more attention to this. Yeah. But I after having a little thought, maybe it's okay for people not to care, because if people don't care and are kind of used to it in a way, maybe we get more info. Maybe things actually happen, and we can actually find out whether it actually is other life, unknown to this world, or it's something maybe actually on this world. Who knows? But maybe it's better if people don't care as much, or people get more used to it.
I mean, it's mind-boggling to think, like, one thing that has been going on now too is not necessarily the Pentagon or the government releasing these videos, but when these videos surface, them confirming the videos.
They're not saying, it's a weather balloon. I mean, to be fair, the video quality and everything is not the same as back then, so you can't just pass it off as that was just a weather balloon. That was some random kite in the sky or something. You can't just pass it off as that. Video quality is way too good now.
So I have a working theory that popped into my head. And is this what we're seeing right now? They've confirmed this, and the main question is why? Why have they confirmed that these things are existing? Why have we confirmed all this? Why did Space Force get created? Why, did we launch a rover to Mars years ago? What is the importance of all this? The question is about.
Well, we also just launched another rover to Mars.
Exactly. So, and we're, the race
with a little helicopter. Sorry, I keep interrupting, but it has a little helicopter. It's going to come out at one point. I can't remember when. There was a date. I got to watch that.
That's adorable. But we're racing against countries like the United Arab Emirates. Like, what the hell stock do they have in getting to Mars? Like, why is this going on? So that's, and I'm thinking about it. And what if aliens did make contact? Area 51's a thing or whatever. And we do have, one of the main claims is a lot of our advancements has come from alien technology that we have ascertained. What if all we're seeing, what if the pill flying by, all the confirmation is essentially our government creating these things and testing them?
Yeah.
And, now they're confirming it to get the UFO thing off the back because Space Force is coming and we're going to really, because how is Space Force actually going to work if we can't put soldiers up there to actually function in space? What we need to have this type of technology to freely move them in and out of the atmosphere. And what better way than honing alien technology that was either given to us or that we've taken? Is that a possibility that all this is just our government testing it on a level that even our top secret military guys don't know?
100%. 100% it's a possibility. Literally, damn near everything's a possibility right now, especially when you're just going off on tangents and thinking about these things. So I think it would be cool either way. Either it's actually them visiting us or us using like technology they found from the crashes or they made contact or whatever. Because I just think just the advancement in and of itself would be incredible.
Yeah.
Especially if they come out and say, hey, yeah, no, we actually have this. And it can be, damn well, this technology can be used in every single facet of life, not just going into space. So I think it would be awesome if it is us working on something, or even if it is other life coming down and checking us out, because they haven't blown us up yet. So it's pretty cool. I think we'll be okay if they haven't blown us up yet.
So 2 things before we close this out. Number 1, what if this is all nuclear energy and we've been wrong about nuclear this whole time? Well, a lot of people have been wrong about nuclear this whole time. Yeah. Number 2, what if Alex Jones has been right about everything aliens?
No, we're not. Nope. I'm not giving him any credit for anything.
You've been in contact forever. They've already here. They're doing everything for us.
To be fair, that's a theory.
We don't go back to the dark side of the moon is because they told us to kick rocks.
No. That was wild. But to be fair, that theory has been a thing long before Alex Jones.
Yeah, but he made it famous with InfoWars.
Yeah, he did. But I'm not giving him credit for anything. The man's insane. So I'm not giving him any credit.
This is not a plug for InfoWars.
It's not.
But this could be a chip for Alex Jones.
All right, we're going to move on to something on Earth. And yes, I am talking about Alex Jones because he's not of this Earth. We're going to move on to UFC 259. A couple of UFC things have happened recently. A couple interesting things have happened recently, but we're going to mainly talk about 259 and how goddamn good this card is. So just in the prelims, we have Joseph Benavidez fighting Oscar Askarov in a flyweight bout. Joseph Benavidez is number 2 flyweight and Oscar is number 3. So we have that in the prelims, not the main prelim. Then we have Song Yadong fighting in the bantamweight bout. He's fun to watch if you don't know him. Then we have UFC legend Dominic Cruz versus Casey Kenny to cap off the prelims. That's the end of the prelims. After that, we go over to main card for Thiago Santos, number 2 in the world at light heavyweight, versus Alexander Rakic, number 4, to start off the main card. Go from that to Islam Makhachev versus Drew Dober, 14 and 15 at lightweight. Then the championship fights start, and there's 3 of them. It's Petr Yan versus Aljamain Sterling for the bantamweight belt. And I hope Aljo wins. You know me, I love Aljo. I hope he wins. That should be a great fight. Then for the women's featherweight title, Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson. Should still be a good fight. Megan Anderson's no pushover.
No.
But Amanda Nunes is very good. We'll see what happens. Then to cap it off, the main event, what I'm waiting for and what I'm honestly nervous about is Jan Blachowicz versus Israel Adesanya for the light heavyweight title. Israel Adesanya is going to try to be a champ, being middleweight and light heavyweight holder. That should be an amazing fight because overall, I think Israel is better, at least on the feet. He just seems to be better on the feet than Jan, but Jan's legendary Polish power is terrifying. He only needs one shot to really knock you out, to knock you on your feet. And if you watch this fight against Dominic Reyes, he has a very good body kick right after a right straight that he landed 2 of them on Dominic Reyes and he was already bruising.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is going to be such a damn good card this coming Saturday. well worth the money to me. I know I'm going to watch it come hell or high water.
Without a doubt. So would you call this a co-main event in a way because of the 3 championships, the caliber of all 3 championships?
I know. No, I know.
The sad thing is the Lioness is probably the weakest caliber and Anderson's no pushover. But in terms of, Nunes is expected to win that fight.
Yep.
Because she is one of the greatest of all time and in her prime.
Yeah.
You have no idea who's going to win with Aljo and Yan. You have no idea who's going to win, with the style bender. You don't know those 2 fights. Those 2 fights could both qualify for fight of the year with the way the talent level there. Dave, top to bottom, is this potentially the best card of all time?
Oh, I don't know about that. There's been so many goddamn good cards, but this is one of the better ones I've seen. I know we had the super card coming off of quarantine.
Was there UFC 5 titles in that one changed?
No. I think it's another 3 title. I can't remember. I know we went over it on this podcast. That was a really good card as well. That panned out is really good. But overall, I think this should come out to one of the better cards we may have seen in UFC history. I don't know, but overall, the fight should be great.
Now, I want to talk about the Adesanya fight because me and you, we both love Aljo, and I think Adesanya is both our favorite fighter.
Yes.
You talked about him having to watch for the Polish power and the combo that everyone knows is coming, but no one seems to be able to stop with the straight and then the body kick. This is, I think, the biggest test for Israel because one of his biggest things is he doesn't get hit unless he wants to. So that's really been his calling card, that when you see Adesanya take a hit, it's always because he's setting up a counter. He doesn't take hits. He rarely takes hits that he doesn't intend to take. Is this a fight where you think that his speed is one of the ways that he can win? Like, because he's stepping up a weight class. He's proven that you don't need the power to get knockouts. But man, he's going to need some power to get a knockout here.
Well, the number one thing that we're going to look at is obviously his speed. He's going to use that a lot. His coach said they're going to stick around walking weight. They're not really going to try to bulk up for light heavyweight. They're going to keep around walking weight for that. So it's going to be a lot of speed for him, a lot of not getting hit by Blachowicz as much as possible, and a lot of leg kicks. I'm seeing a lot of calf kicks from him, and I know Blachowicz is probably looking out for that. So we'll see. He's probably going to try to chop him down, try to get him worried about that leg, trying to get rid of that power a little bit. And I don't know, he'll work all 3 levels. I think the same might happen for Blachowicz. I think he's going to come out and really try to press her, Adesanya, because if you stand from distance, you're going to get chewed up. So we're probably going to see a lot of pressure. And that's what makes me nervous, because anything can happen once it gets dirty in there.
Now, here's the thing, though, too, and I think this is where we're going to find out the caliber of fighter of each guy, because my main theory is that when you have a generational type of guy that you're fighting against, it doesn't matter the talent level of the other guy. They change their style because of the talent. Israel Adesanya has proven time and time again lately to be that guy that forces people to change what they're doing, and he does not change.
And like the Paulo Costa fight, Paulo Costa's not a bad fighter.
Exactly.
Paulo Costa just couldn't find a way to get connection, and then he took 8 too many leg kicks.
And Paulo Costa was not Paulo Costa. That's the difference. And are we going to see something where that accuracy of Adesanya? Adesanya doesn't go for power. He just knows how to knock you out without power. It's all about accuracy to him. Are we going to see another thing where we're looking for Blachowicz to use his pressure that we know he can to get you in a bad situation, to get you in a clutch, which he's very good in the clutch? But we're going to see him change that because he has to respect the fact that anytime someone tries to get close to Adesanya, he tags them with a well-placed hit that, makes him think twice. I'm interested to see if I think this fight is a fight for Adesanya's legacy, that if he can get a talent guy like Blachowicz to change his style because Adesanya is so good, he now enters into your Anderson Silva, your Conor McGregor, your all-time great status.
Well, 100%, because you're champ. And there's only 4 of the people that's done that before you.
John Bones Jones. Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, John Jones was not champ.
Well, I'm saying in terms of the caliber level of fight.
Yeah. But the number one thing is, if you look at the Yoel Romero bout with Adesanya, even though it was boring as hell, Boring as hell. But Yoel did get him to walk into a trap a couple times. Maybe it's because Adesanya was getting frustrated because nothing was happening. But he got him to walk in, and he really connected Yoel. If he pressured a little more, maybe tried to get Adesanya to fight back, maybe we see a different outcome in that fight.
And there aren't as many guys that hit as hard as Yoel in all of UFC, and Adesanya took him.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the whole thing. If I'm Blachowicz, I'm watching that fight. I'm watching the Gastelum fight, even though Adesanya is a different fighter from the Gastelum fight. But I'm watching those. I'm seeing how they connected, how they were able to actually hit Adesanya cleanly. Because because you might be able to scrape him, but you want to hit him cleanly. You want him to get a little disoriented in there because you know Jan Blachowicz is going to be able to knock him out if he gets clean shots.
Yes.
So I'm watching those fights. I'm setting up traps while also putting on a little pressure. You need to get him uncomfortable in there. If Adesanya is comfortable, he'll pick you apart. Make him uncomfortable and make him try to walk into something that he doesn't want to.
I'm saying Sterling, Nunes, Adesanya. That is my picks. I'm putting them in the bank, even though the only safe one might be Nunes. I'm putting them in probably because I like Sterling and Adesanya more than the other guys. Not that I dislike the other fighters. I like all the fighters here.
Yeah.
Those two guys are just two of my favorites.
Yeah.
How about you? What are your picks? You got
probably the same. Who I want to win.
in your heart of hearts, are you picking them as well in terms of talent and style and how they fight normally?
The problem, I would pick Nunes and Adesanya still because I just think Adesanya all around better fighter on the feet. I think he'll be able to stay. He's been able to stay off the ground all of his career so far in the UFC.
And so when he does get on the ground, he has a good enough defense, and he has shown enough range in terms of attempting to he's able to get in that people respect it.
Yeah, but I still go with both of them. My problem with Sterling is he said it in interviews already. He said he's going to try 100 takedowns. All he needs is one in order to finish his fight. And I agree with him. But the problem is if Petr Yan gets his hands on you, stand up, the man has enough power to put you. He's very good. I know Jose Aldo is older now, but he stood in a phone booth with him and beat Jose Aldo completely.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing. It's a very tough call between Jan and Sterling. It all really depends on where the fight actually ends up.
That's a fair assessment. And, obviously Sterling knows that as well. And you're gonna see him be the aggressor in terms of a lot of jabs, a lot of distance stuff to set up the takedown.
Well, yeah, you want to mix up your stand up, get him against the cage, get him to clinch, try to get him down. That's what Sterling's going to have to do because you can't stand up with Petr Yan.
And the clinch is also scary against Yan too, because he's very good there in terms of, like you said.
Yeah, he was in the clinch with Jose and he beat the Jose there. So
it's a difficult game. He's definitely a matchup problem for Sterling, more than we've ever seen.
He's a matchup problem for anyone in bantamweight. That's the thing.
He is. But we're going to move on from something fun that me and David obviously both like to something fun that
we talked for a while.
We really don't know about, but I've seen a bunch of Instagram clips. I've seen enough that makes me know that this league, the fan-controlled football league, as goofy as it sounds, is as goofy as it is, but it looks like it's a lot of fun. The players take it seriously, but have a good time. There's a lot of different things that go on, and it's exactly as it sounds. It's fan-controlled. They call plays. They do some weird stuff that they send in. It's a really cool concept, and Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, is reviving his career with the What is it? Zippers?
The Zappers. It's Bob Menery's team, the Zappers.
And he recruited Josh Gordon. So easily the two most talented guys in the league are going to be on the same team. It's going to be a lot of fun. The league obviously doesn't care about drugs because Gordon's cool. And David, it looks like fun. I haven't caught a stream yet. I'd like to watch a little more. But it just looks like all around fun. The guys are serious football players. The guys, they're not jokes. They're the same guys you saw in the AAF, the guys that are probably going to be in the XFL that are kicking and scratching and trying to just get film. But it looks like it could be fun. Dave, is this something that you think can last because it doesn't take itself that seriously?
Possibly, as long as it gets the money to last. I mean, it looks fun. If anyone knows the yard from Madden, and anyone actually likes that. This is more like the yard than anything else. So like it's a street ball. That's really what it is. 7v7. There's 3 down linemen. It looks like a fun time. And it's really interesting because in order to call plays for a team, you have to join a team. You announce you're a fan of this team, so then you can call in plays. There's actually a weekly draft. You draft new players every time. There's 2 keepers from the team owner, I think 1 from the fans. But you draft players every time.
Yep.
In order, I think you draft a defense and then offensive players. I'm not entirely sure. But and they seem like they just want to have fun with this league. And I like that. I think that's a good time. Whether it can last or not, I have no idea. But for right now, it's just a fun thing to do. And you have all these cameras everywhere. It's on Twitch. It's very easy to get to. It's very accessible. I think it's a good idea, whether or not it lasts.
One of the fun things that I saw is that the quote unquote team owners are Marshawn Lynch, Richard Sherman, Ocho Cinco, and Prince Royce. It's a really cool concept that they're attaching some of these big names, and kudos to these guys who, Richard Sherman, he has something to lose in terms of the fact that he's still a big name in the NFL. Guys like Lynch and Ocho Cinco, they're just having fun. They're retired. But, a guy like Richard Sherman, and Richard Sherman's not an idiot. He's a really smart guy. So if he's putting his name behind something, he obviously sees something in this league that could make it sustainable. I can't see Richard Sherman doing something unsustainable like this, putting his name out there. And even Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch is an intelligent dude. Another guy that I don't see attaching their names to something they think is going to fold quickly. So it looks fun. I might try and catch it on Twitch because I jump on Twitch when I'm bored every once in a while. But it looks like good fun, Dave, and more football, more fun in a league that doesn't take itself too seriously is something I can get behind.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with it. I'm just very interested to see how this model works. It's the first model that's really going on online. So I think it's an interesting business model. I don't know if it can last, especially for more, it's basically a prototype, but it may spark something.
Hey, it's getting enough social media play because it's all over Instagram. The FCFL is doing a good job putting its clips out, and Barstool's picking it up. Even Sports Center has Johnny. Getting Johnny Manziel is a big key because Johnny Manziel is a big name.
Yes,
the fact that he's on there, and this is the type of league where I think you'll kind of get those burnt out but still talented NFL caliber players. To go and play that. Kind of, Johnny Manziel wanted a league where he can have fun and he can showboat a little. This is it. And this is the league that he can do it. And there's a perfect league for Johnny Manziel. Yeah. That's it.
All right. Next, we're going to move on. Sorry. Next, we're going to move on.
Transition, guys.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. It's a little late. It's a little late for me. Next, we're going to move on from the Fan Control Football League to the National Football League, what is professional football. And the offseason is right around the corner. It's in about 2 weeks. We've already had some things go down. I'm not sure if we talked about Matt Stafford going to the Rams and Jared Goff going to the Lions.
That was within our off week. That
was within our off week. Big trade. Big trade. Rams got rid of Jared Goff, multiple picks for Matt Stafford. They got rid of a huge contract, and they really got an upgrade at the QB position. So now the Rams are very serious.
They are a contender.
Yeah, and I feel a little bad for Jared Goff going over to the Lions because that's kind of scary over there. They're biting off
kneecaps. You don't feel bad for Jared Goff. You just said they got rid of you. Just threw the guy to the wolves.
What did they? Come on. What did they do? They added first round picks to that deal. Come on. What did they do? But anyway, the most recent thing that's happened is that JJ Watt is a Cardinal. That's a very, very interesting thing to happen. And that may play more into what Russell Wilson being traded from the Seahawks.
The two best statistical sack artists over the last 2 years in terms of sack rates, Chandler Jones and JJ Watt, now on the same team.
Yep.
I think it's Chandler Jones gets a sack every 25 plays and JJ Watt was 27.7.
Yeah.
That is Mathis, Freeney, Colts, terrifying level.
Yeah.
That is balling Giants, hitting Brady, winning Super Bowls with Justin Tuck and Matthias Kiwanuka.
With the 9-17 because that defense is so damn good. Yeah.
And I can't forget about Strahan. What he got is that is that level. And we've seen the adage shouldn't be anymore that a good defense wins you championship. A good pass rush wins you championships.
Yeah.
And they have what it takes there with a growing quarterback in Kyler, D-Hop, a running game.
Mm-hmm.
Cardinals were supposed to be good last year and floundered. Cardinals better damn be good this year because they need
They
to.
better. They better. It might be Cliff's head if they're not good this year.
It might be everybody's head.
Yeah. Yeah. So the NFL is getting close to being in full swing with the offseason. There's a lot of interesting things that could happen. We all knew about Deshaun Watson. We knew about that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We all knew about Deshaun Watson and how he's not even answering calls from the Texans anymore. Teams are leaving voicemails now with trade packages to the Texans.
He met with the new head coach and
said,
told him, I'm not staying. Don't put me in your plans. I'm not staying here.
Exactly. It's so I don't get what the Texans are trying to do. They're going to have to trade the guy. I said this already, but they're going to have to. And now, apparently, Russell Wilson wants out of Seattle because he's not entirely happy.
Because I think he just said today that he's happy with the Seahawks. This is taking like so many different roads. I feel like Russell Wilson initially wanted out. It got big, and Russell Wilson's a consummate professional, and the Seahawks have done well by him. He likes Pete Carroll, so he's walking it back so they could do what they need to do in silence.
Maybe. I don't know. It's an interesting vibe because I still, even though the Seahawks I feel like are declining, I still think they have maybe another year in them to actually get to the Super Bowl. But it's tough because where else are you going to go? Where else could they put you where you think you're going to have a good line and a good chance? I know the Raiders have been thrown out there, but like, I'm just not sure about the Russell Wilson thing. The Deshaun Watson thing, he just hates the Texans. Like, that's very simple. He just hates the Texans.
After we found out what went on with that front office and that ownership, can you blame the guy?
No, I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying, and we know that's a very simple thing that's happening here.
I do have to say one thing. When a guy like Russell Wilson complains about something wrong in the franchise, he is as close to, in terms of a Jerry Rice, Tim Brown, Calvin Johnson, Andre Johnson, do your job, don't say much, don't hurt the team's brand type of guy. If he is basically insinuating that something is in there that he doesn't like, that he needs to get away from, then there's probably something more that, the organization's not talking about and not doing. And, Russell Wilson deserves the respect. I saw him. He let out a list, and as a Jets fan, I tweeted out there that what a time it is where whether or not we get Deshaun or Russell Wilson, which it looks like we're not going to get either, but the fact that the New York Jets were mentioned as potential preferred destinations for either of these franchise-changing guys is a good sign with our head coach and our GM. So it's a hopeful look. It's a moral victory, which is all we've had over the last decade, but it is still nice as a Jets fan.
And not to go too far off into a tangent with the Jets, but that's where mainly my confidence about the QB situation and the Jets kind of revolves, is that I have a lot of confidence in Saleh and Joe Douglas. So until that bubble's burst, I'm going to be confident that we're going to get things right and we're going to be put on the right track.
I'm officially jumping on the Trey Lance coming to the Jets track, the quarterback from North Dakota State.
He's pretty damn good.
29 touchdowns, 0 picks, 4,000 yards, 1,000 yards rushing on the ground. Give me that guy over
we might
over Zach Wilson and Justin Fields. Give me him. 100%. Not at the 2, because you can go back and get him, but give me him.
You never know. You never know. There's a lot that can happen in the NFL offseason. It's starting very soon. It's starting very, very soon. I have no idea what's going to happen. It seems like it's going to be the craziest offseason because these are just the starting things. Matt Stafford going to the Rams, J.J. Watt, Deshaun Watson wanting out, Russell Wilson possibly wanting out. These are just starting.
Do you see any veterans traveling over to the Bucs? Because I feel like the Bucs are going to get a few more vets. They're going to shore up a few more spots. I know Adrian Peterson was linked for a minute, possibly going to the Buccaneers. I don't know if the Buccaneers are interested in Adrian Peterson. Their running game is a pretty good situation right now. Main reason why Tom Brady was able to beat Tom Brady in the second half is they got that running game going. And the running game, it looks like those guys are locked in. Fournette's not going anywhere. Jones isn't going. Like, that's still a good situation there. Do you have any veterans in mind that you're thinking that maybe would a Richard Sherman be interested in going to play defense there?
Honestly, Richard Sherman's already a Jet to me, the way he's talked about Robert
Do you want a Richard Sherman if you
I'm not saying I want him. I'm just saying that he already seems like he's on the damn team. It doesn't seem like he's going anywhere else.
If Richard Sherman is willing to play center field and let Marcus May do his Jamal Adams thing again, then I want Richard Sherman. If Richard Sherman wants to play corner, then kick rocks. You can't play corner right now in the end, especially if we're asking you to man up. Go play center field. He still can intercept everything that's around him. Yeah. Go play center field.
And another thing that just happened today that I forgot to mention, Alex Smith. Yeah. Gone from the Washington football team. He's gone from them.
Thanks for making us compete in the division, Alex Smith.
Exactly.
Bye.
Exactly. He's like, he even said, he's like, oh, I felt like I wasn't even supposed to be there. I felt like I ruined their plans. So Alex Smith could go anywhere, really. Like, he's at least a very good backup to a decent starter to have for a rookie QB to sit under. I mean, look at Pat Mahomes. He sat under him. Pat was probably going to be good anyway, but I think that year helped.
Going back to my Jets hat, I'd be A-okay if they don't see anything they like in these kids. Pick up Alex for a year. I'd be A-okay with Alex Smith for a year. With the way he played this year, the Redskins would have walked away with the division if he played all 16 games. That's how good that team was under Alex Smith.
Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't mind him as someone for the Jets with the rookie playing under him. I like the mentor status of
having a veteran Smith.
Yeah, honestly, even though it's completely different play styles, but still, you could learn a lot. You can learn a lot from a veteran NFL QB.
Alex Smith in the earlier of his career was extremely mobile. He was a very mobile man. He's not as mobile now.
I mean, he has a bionic leg, so maybe he's more mobile.
Seriously, maybe he does. Maybe he has actually a rocket in there and he just fly. But anything else in the offseason that you're looking forward to that you think? Any predictions that you have going on? What are the Giants? They're very quiet, and they need a lot. They played well towards the end of last year.
I don't know, dude. The most interesting
on Daniel Jones.
I think you got to give him another year, especially since Daquan's been injured both years, basically. I think that really hurts a QB when his star running back that's supposed to be there isn't there.
What's Saquon's leash? You have to start talking about Saquon's leash. If he gets hurt again,
if he can't play, exactly.
Walk away from Saquon Barkley. And he's not helping the team.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about. It is a tough spot to be in for the Giants. I think my most interesting thing going into next year and this offseason is how the Saints aren't going to fold as a franchise because they're in actual cap hell. Like, the Saints are in literal cap hell. It's terrifying what's happening to that team. I have no idea how they're going to exist. They might be the worst team in the league next year. It's that bad.
Oh, did you also? So I guess the Saints are trying. The mayor of Seattle's trying to lure. I don't know who it is from New Orleans to come to Seattle because the mayor of New Orleans tried to lure Russell Wilson over to the Saints. Like, there's like a battle going on.
I didn't see the response. I saw the mayor of New Orleans. I didn't see the mayor of Seattle.
The mayor of Seattle, I guess, is retaliating. I guess trying to get Michael Thomas or someone to come over.
I would get Kamara. Give me Alvin Kamara, please.
Like, someone to come over, which I find hilarious that like the mayors are now like, people forget politicians can be sports fans too.
Exactly. Like, anyone can be a sports fan.
Anyone can be a sports fan. All right, we're gonna head into our final topic, which thanks for everyone that's still listening. You have another basically whole podcast that's going to go on because this is another long topic that David and I both like. So we're going to talk about some NBA surprises as we head in right next to the All-Star break coming on this weekend. I'm going to first talk about fantasy real quick because fantasy right now is confirmed that the NBA players are possibly the softest players in the whole entire world. Because when you need them, they randomly go on day-to-day status because they maybe clipped the toenail a little bit too short.
Big mad.
I am big mad because I was me and the two top teams are playing this past week, and Jimmy Butler. I love you, Jimmy Butler. If you don't get a championship, you're possibly the best superstar of this generation not to get one. But you screwed me by going day to day in a game that I probably wasn't even going to win. But if you go there, I have a good shot at least getting close. You screwed me, Jimmy Butler, and a lot of guys. Fournier, was it Evan Fournier? You've been on and off. You're inconsistent. but you're good. I can't drop you. Like, there's so many guys right now that piss you off because if you drop them, they're gone.
So upset.
And it's, oh my God. So confirmation, soft as putty. Now we're going to go on to the real topics. I basically lord over them. But we've had some fun surprises. We've had some good. We've had some bad. We're going to first talk about the teams that good, bad surprises. David's probably going to take up all the ones that I want to talk about because David's a jerk, but I'm going to let him go first.
You want me to take the East and you take the West? So you
no, I sure don't. I just want you to ramble and then I'll agree or disagree.
Okay. All right, then. I think obviously the Knicks are a pretty big surprise with how well they're doing at this point. They're now one game above 500 in fourth place in the Eastern Conference. That's really, really good for them. I expected them to be not as bad as they were last year, but I didn't expect them to be fourth right now. Julius Randle is being a monster. You said you predicted some pretty damn good things.
I predicted 500. I predicted above 500 basketball.
Yeah, I'll give you that. You actually did predict a good amount of this. Mm-hmm. I didn't see this coming, but they're playing very well. Tom Thibodeau has that team moving. They play really hard-nosed basketball, and they find ways to win. So everything's looking up for the Knicks right now coming into the All-Star break. The Heat are a little surprising.
How about this? You talk about your surprises, and then I'll kind of just jump on because I think we agree with all that.
For the most part, yeah.
Okay. So Knicks, my only prediction that I didn't see, the roster as constituted, I said would be a 500 team. And that was before Derrick Rose decided he doesn't hate New York and doesn't want to leave it again.
Yeah.
And they brought him back. And Derrick Rose, if people haven't been paying attention to Derrick Rose before he got to New York, the old Derrick Rose was back. And he is back. His explosion's as good as it was. He's not dunking on everyone, but I think that's just veteran savvy at this point. He can. If you see the way that man still skies, he has more than enough ability to dunk on the planet still. Mm-hmm. But D Rose is essentially back. He found another superstar in Julius Randle, and then everyone on that team is playing its role. Mm-hmm. And that is really the important part. So I'm pumped. It's a little early, but kudos to Julius Randle for getting the All-Star because he's fantastic. And I've been, I don't like the Knicks. I'm a Nets fan, but God, that they're a fun team to watch right now.
Oh yeah,
and I'm excited for them. But yeah, go ahead. That's on the Knicks, and that's how we're gonna do this. We're gonna make this choppy and terrible to listen to.
That's no problem. So the Heat and the Celtics are both a little disappointing right now. They're both sitting at 500 right under Knicks. The Heat NBA finalists. You're hoping they're doing a little better. But Butler's been out for a good amount and such. So, I mean, you can kind of expect that the Celtics have been really weird.
Yep.
I had no idea what's actually happening with the Celtics. I haven't watched enough of them, unfortunately, to really diagnose what the heck the problem is. But it just seems like they're not on the same page right now.
So the loss of Scary Terry absolutely hurts them because they have been struggling to find the backup for Kemba in terms of Wanamaker and certain guys like that, and not being able to do what Terry Rozier does. Mm-hmm. And Kemba's been on and off again on the floor in terms of injuries and stuff. I feel like the Heat is a COVID thing. COVID hurt them. They didn't have Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler at the same time. Yep. That's a huge hit to a team that relies. They're very guard heavy in terms of their production. So I think that was the big hit. And now that they're back, we're seeing them more back on track, kind of trying to figure it out. Then Jimmy Butler randomly takes a day off and kills my fantasy chances, but still the number 2 team in the league. But the Celtics, I mean, what excuse is there for the Boston Celtics? And this isn't speaking from a Nets fan that doesn't like them, because I don't. But what excuse is there? You have Jason Tatum, who we've been told is going to be on the come up as one of the top 5 players in the league since he's gotten there. That hasn't happened. He's a very good player, but Jason Tatum's not a superstar. Sorry to everybody in Boston. The man's not a superstar. Kemba, I guess you could say Kemba not being on all the time, little tweak injuries there maybe hurts the chemistry. But you have a guy like Jaylen Brown, who's another one that we've been told by the national media, by everyone that plays, that Jaylen Brown's he's a dude. He's a guy. He's a star, and he's a this, he's a that. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are that good, they should not be a 500 team right now. Granted, the division that they play in, the people that they see the most often between the Raptors, the Sixers, the Nets, and the Knicks, probably the toughest division in basketball outside of the Pacific on the West, because they just you see them the most. They see each other the most. They beat the hell out of each other. Then, it used to be the Nets are a simple 17 wins. It's not the way it is anymore. The Nets are beating everybody else now. The Knicks were supposed
to Sixers.
Exactly. The Knicks were supposed to be the pushovers. They certainly aren't. The Sixers are a contender. The Sixers are the best team in the conference right now, statistically, record wise.
Yeah.
The Raptors, Fred VanVleet, Siakam, Lowry still doing their thing over there. So that's part of it. But if you have two guys that we've been told since they come into the league are legit guys, are the dudes, they play defense, they play offense, they're both really tall, lanky guys. Why are you at 500? There's no excuse for Boston right now. I can't give any sympathy to that team.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. And I'm going to be going off some surprises, but also like messing with the standings, seeing how they're going to end.
They can't blame it on Kyrie this time.
That is true. They can't. No, but we're not going to go into that. So Charlotte has been fun. Yeah. LaMelo Ball is a ton of fun. Gordon Hayward has been playing very well there. And of course, you have Scary Terry over there as well. Yep. So the Hornets might be able to sneak into the playoffs. Right now, they're 8th seed. But really, I think the team that's going to get in there are the Bulls, because Zach LaVine is an absolute monster. And he actually, it seems like he's going to at least will them into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Other than that, the Pacers, if Karis LeVert didn't have that terrible diagnosis, which luckily he'd be able to play soon, I'm amazed he will. But if he didn't have that happen, I think the Pacers are at an even better record than they are right now.
So if Karis gets it going, though, if Karis comes on, it'll obviously take him a little bit, but he's supposed to be coming back in March this month. He's supposed to be back to playing basketball.
Yeah.
If they can get him back quick enough, and we can, as Nets fans, we know he's a 20-a-night guy that gets you creative assists and can handle the ball and pressure. He's another guy that can win you games.
Yeah.
If they can get a Karis LeVert back, to me, that presses Indiana ahead of both Chicago and Charlotte, because you have multiple guys on Indiana that can do it, where in Chicago, you're relying on LaVine heavily.
Listen, that's very true. But looking at the standings right now, you have to think about it this way. The Pacers definitely can get into playoffs. They probably should.
Yep.
Sabonis and LeVert just themselves should be very good.
Yeah.
And so is Brogdon over there. But think about it this way. Right now, the Knicks are playing awesome basketball. Do you truly believe they can sustain it for the whole season?
Yes.
I don't know.
Because of Tibbs and the mindset that he brings to that team. And
I think we see the Knicks falling from 4, definitely. I think that happens no matter what. So where will they fall to? That's the question, how these things shake up in the East.
So my thing about the Knicks, though, is, and I sound like a Knicks fan right now, but I can't help it. The big thing about them is the two guys that lead their team are veterans. They're not relying on young talent. Randall is a bona fide veteran. Rose is a former MVP that went toe to toe in conference finals with LeBron in his heyday on the Cavs. And then their supporting cast isn't a bunch of kids either.
No, I know.
Alec Burks, I really like. Reggie Bullock is a veteran. They have a lot of veteran presence there. Taj Gibson he doesn't give them minutes, but he gives them that Jared Dudley sense of leadership. That's a really good unit. It's not a bunch of young guys that randomly are doing it. It's a bunch of guys that know how to win games, know how to win tight games, know how to win potential championships. I'm not saying this Knicks team is a championship team, but I will say whoever sees them in the playoffs is going to be really mad that that's
annoying out. It's a really annoying out in the playoffs. 100%. I won't disagree with that.
And if the standings stay where they are, 4-5, I could see New York beating Miami. I could see them upsetting Miami.
No, we'll see about that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see about that.
Absolutely.
It's tough. That's really tough. I just don't think they're going to stay what they are. We're going to move on to the Western Conference, so we're not taking too long of a time. The Jazz at number 1. They took a very big step. That's a surprise to me. They're 27-7, the best record in the league. They are playing. It's a chemistry. And we talked about this after, I think not 2 weeks ago. We talked about this longer ago. But could Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell patch things up?
Yep.
Because we knew there was a slight rift between them. Well, they have. They 100% have. That whole team plays very well together. And honestly, I'm hoping they don't give the Atlanta Hawks vibes, the number 1 Atlanta Hawks vibes.
Or even the Denver Nuggets of last year, where they did what they did and they just faltered against more superstars.
Yeah, I don't know if they do. That's the problem. I hope they can really pull out a lot of things, because I like teams that are really good chemistry-wise. Obviously, with the Lakers and Clippers. The Suns at number 4 are a huge surprise. But the thing that's not surprising is that Chris Paul is leading them. Because Chris Paul, as much flack as he gets, is one of the best guys you can have on your team because he just elevates everyone.
He's one of the best point guards in the history of the game. It's not a dispute.
Yes.
And he's taken a lot off of Devin Booker. He's taken a lot off of DeAndre Ayton to be young guys that have to lead a team. And they could just play.
And look at the team he was on last year. The Thunder, they're at 12 right now. They're 14-20. The Suns are 22-11.
Yep.
That's a huge difference. He does a lot for the younger guys. He can do so much for teams. So I love what the Suns are doing. Devin Booker definitely deserves this. Devin Booker's been playing out of his mind for Phoenix for a while now. So
he was ready to leave. Devin Booker was ready to leave.
Exactly. So after that, we have San Antonio Spurs at 17-12. They're above the Trailblazers, Nuggets, Mavericks right now. So they're playing very well. DeMar DeRozan playing out of his mind.
Monster.
Absolute monster, showing that he's still a damn good basketball player. Yet again, no matter what you say.
6, 20, and 10 games this year, 20 points, 10 assists. He's had 5 in his career before this season. He is playing at a different level, doing things differently than he's ever done. Want to go back to Utah real quick? The Mike Conley effect is big for them because he's doing what Chris Paul is doing over in in Phoenix.
It's helpful to have a very good point guard.
Yes, and a veteran that can handle pressure, that knows it, that has done it.
Then at number 7, Nuggets, 18-15. You expect better from them.
Yeah,
truly, you truly do. And I hearkened to this before we even started recording this, but there's a recent game that they played where time running out, they're down by 2. They had get the ball in transition. Jamal Murray is looking to pass to someone. There is no one defending. They all go to the 3-point line on this Denver team. No one goes for the layup. They can't tie it up. Are you kidding me? This is and seeing that happen to Denver Nuggets is interesting to me.
It leads into the next team right underneath them.
Exactly. To the Warriors that are 19-16, number 8 right now. Steph Curry is playing at an MVP caliber right now. 100%, no doubt. And Draymond Green, who's always been the glue of the Warriors, is continuing to be the glue of the Warriors.
Draymond Green averages, what is it, like 9, 7, and 8. He's a near triple-double
something like
average.
That, yeah.
It's a stupid average, but then it's everything else that he does. He makes the guards be able to press because he has the backside of the defense ready. He is a small ball 5 before it was a thing because he can go out and guard Damian Lillard a few possessions because he's confident to step out with them and his athleticism to get back. He is a very much throwback, not saying he's there because I'll get criticism for this, but Rodman and Barkley. He's a very much throwback type of guy.
He's one of the closest ones you got to it.
Undersized big that'll do the rough work and understands how to do the type of things, the intricacies. Now, him taking a 3 to end the game that he did the other week is when Steph Curry's wide open. Draymond sometimes, but he also, though, when he needs it, he knows what he's a type of veteran that knows when to press on the gas. When he needs to get 20, he'll get his 20. But when he needs to get 6, he'll go and get his 6 as long as they win the games. He's an intricate part to that team.
Yeah, and truly, you can say whatever you want about Draymond Green's personality or whatever. I love the way he plays on the floor. He's a true team player. But finally, I'm going to name the last 2 teams that I think are surprising to me in a general sense. The Mavericks at 500. I expected a little more from Luka, Kristaps, and that team. And the Pelicans at 14-19. I said that they're a possible playoff team when we were talking about this before the season. And I am wrong so far. Even though Zion's having a great year and Brandon Ingram's having a great year, they're just not putting things together.
And the other team for me, Sacramento, they have a lot of young guys. Buddy Hield can shoot the ball. De'Aaron Fox is a legitimate star. And they have Halliburton, who's a good player. They have guys. That's a good young team.
Their defense is just terrible.
It's a terrible defense. I don't know if it's just coaching. And that kind of goes back to another team in the East real quick, the Atlanta Hawks. They just let go of Lloyd Pierce today, which I don't know how much you could blame on Lloyd Pierce, because it seems like a lot of the guys were just underperforming. And I had Bob Rathbun on the Sports Opinions podcast almost a month ago now, before the season got going. He's the TV voice of the Hawks. I think we talked about this, Dave. He sits next to Dominique every single game calling it. And he called what exactly is going on in the Hawks. He said, if Trae Young needs to have the gaudy numbers or anything near that he had last year, then this team is not going to be very good. This team should be good enough to spread out that wealth. And the fact that they're willing to now possibly shop John Collins tells you what they think about this current makeup of the roster.
Yep.
So, Dave, it's interesting right now. Halfway through, you said the Knicks would fall. Do you think Brooklyn overtakes Philly? What do you think the situation is in the end up of the year? Can Utah continue this pace? Do the teams catch up? Just give me your scenario. I'm not even going to give too much commentary. How is this all going to end up? Who's going to rise? Who's going to fall type of deal? We kind of had mini talks about it.
I think in general, what we're going to see, I think the Nets overtaking the Sixers all depends on when everyone's playing.
Okay.
If KD and Kyrie can stay on the floor, because James Harden doesn't seem to have a problem staying on the floor.
He don't care.
If those two can stay on the floor, exactly. That's the biggest thing about taking over the Sixers, because the Sixers are a great team. Joel Embiid, yet another player having an MVP year. He's probably in the lead right now for MVP.
Yeah.
So the Sixers, I can see staying there. The Bucks are still going to be very good. They might even overtake that fight for the top 3 in the Eastern Conference. I have no idea how that's going to end up. It all depends on injuries and whether or not anyone falls off at all, but I really don't see that happening too much. Western Conference, I'm saying the Jazz keep it going. I really do believe that chemistry, even if they start losing a couple, they'll be able to build another winning streak.
Do they get to 50 wins in a 72-game season? Do you see them getting to 50? Because that's a really tough go. People forget it's 72 games this year.
Yeah.
So do they see 50 wins, or do they fall just short of that and still be really good?
I think they might fall just short of that, because that's such a tough ask.
It's tough to get 50 in 82 games.
Exactly. That's a really tough ask.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to fall short.
Okay.
I actually see the possibility the Clippers jumping the Lakers for number 2, because if the Lakers have any more problems with Davis and even with Schroeder or anything, let's say LeBron has to step out, because he's been playing every game now, LeBron. So let's say he has to step out for a bit. I see the Lakers dropping some games, and the Clippers are playing just as well as them right now.
Yeah.
And they're not dropping like the Lakers are. So I can see the Clippers overtaking the Lakers, taking 2, Lakers taking 3. The rest of it is really, the West is really weird. The West, I have no idea. I feel like the Suns might drop more games, end up more 6th seed. Trailblazers should jump up more. The Spurs might drop a little bit to 7. But yet again, the Nuggets don't seem to be able to figure it out. I think the Warriors find a way into the playoffs. I think they still might even get the 8th seed no matter what. So the West is really weird, but I do think it might be Jazz, Clippers, Lakers at top.
Does Luka do enough? Does Porzingis get moved, and do the pieces that Porzingis gets give Luka what he needs? Because I consider Luka the 3rd best player in the NBA. I really do. I think he's right there behind LeBron and KD. And to be the 3rd best player, you need to get yourself in a better situation than what he's in.
Yeah. I don't know. I have no idea. I feel like Mark Cuban would move his firstborn to give Luka whatever he needs for the Mavericks. So you would hope so, but I have no idea whether or not it's going to happen. I just don't see it happening right now with the Mavs the way they're playing.
I feel like that's a sellable quote. I feel like you've had like the first sellable quote on CuestaDos. Mark Cuban would move his firstborn. Great. I love it. But all right, Dave, let's talk about some moving and shaking. Let's talk about All-Star. All-Star weekend's coming up. We hinted at it. Let's glaze through this quickly, because we need to end this podcast sometime in 2022.
You have your list, so you go through that, and I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Okay, that's fine. So quickly, All-Stars in the East. Kevin Durant was named team captain. Starters are Giannis Antetokounmpo, Bradley Beal, Joel Embiid, Kyrie Irving, which I'll talk about a gripe real quick right there. I love you, Kyrie. James Harden is the 5th All-Star, not Kyrie Irving. I don't care about his numbers. Anyway, the reserves from the East: Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, James Harden, Zach LaVine, Julius Randle, Ben Simmons, Nicholas Vucevic, Domantas Sabonis. Takes the place of KD because KD's hurt and can't play. Even though KD's going to remain captain. In the West, LeBron James is the captain. Then you have Steph Curry, Luka, Nikola Jokic, and Kawhi Leonard as the starters. Reserves: Anthony Davis, Paul George, Rudy Gobert, Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, Chris Paul, Zion Williamson, Devin Booker comes in to replace an injured AD. Right away, you get rid of 2 snubs. Sabonis and Booker should have been in there anyway. Dave, we talked a little before. You said one of the biggest issues, especially this year, because I feel like a lot of the guys are deserving this year. There is a lot of deserving guys this year. It's tough. But in order to have snubs, you need to have guys who don't deserve to be there. That's basically the criteria. And I have a few guys that don't deserve to be there. Flat out. They just don't deserve it. So first off, let's go to the East. We talked about the Celtics. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum are supposed to be these guys. They have almost identical numbers, except Tatum is a better rebounder. But the problem is, I think Tatum's a real superstar, star caliber type guy. I think Jaylen Brown's been riding his coattails forever now. Jaylen Brown is another guy that we've been told is supposed to be great. And why is he there? He's a fan vote. That's what Jaylen Brown is, a Northeast fan vote. He's a talented guy. He's good. 25 points is nothing to scoff at. But his team isn't playing as well as it should. And I don't think he's at the caliber of the guys that are there. The other guy that I complain about is Nikola Vucevic. He's amazing, been productive for years. Orlando hasn't been good for years. He's been one of the only guys that can score. Their second best scorer was Alfred Payton for a long time, with Aaron Gordon always being hurt and Evan Fournier always being hurt. And Nikola Vucevic was the only consistent guy. So his numbers will be good. Is he more deserving than I think of Jaylen Brown? Yeah. So guys that should be in there instead of either of those two, I like Chris Middleton. I think what he's doing there, his numbers might be a little worse, but what he does for Milwaukee is more. Fred VanVleet's hard to argue with. He's just everything. And who else did I have there, Dave? Jimmy Butler and DeMar DeRozan are both, I think, more deserving guys.
Well, DeMar's in the West.
DeMar's in the West. But out of those guys, I feel like those three are more deserving. Now we can go to the West. Chris Paul deserves all the love for his career and deserves all the love for what he's doing in terms of elevating talent. But Chris Paul is not an all-star this year. He might be an all-star, but he is not an all-star player. I don't care what anyone says. 16-9 and 4 rebounds is not all-star numbers when you look at the other gaudy numbers that guys are putting up that get there. I mentioned DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan deserves to be in there before Chris Paul. This is a lifetime achievement award that he's going to continue to get. I'm happy Devin Booker got in. But another guy, Brandon Ingram, deserves to be in there ahead of Rudy Gobert. You know, positions don't mean anything. Brandon Ingram's 6'10". You could put him at the 5 in an all-star game. Gobert is a great defensive player, but man, he does not deserve to be in the all-star game. Give him defensive player of the year again. Well and dandy, not an all-star. Dave, why am I wrong?
Well, you're wrong basically because Jaylen Brown has been playing damn well for the Celtics this year. He's been playing stupid well. Even if you think he's riding Jason Tatum's coattails, he was in the reason why they won games this year. And I've seen that happen. He's just been a bucket. I understand he's inconsistent sometimes, but 25, 4, and 5, basically the same stat line as Jason Tatum.
Inconsistent in his career.
Yeah, well, whatever. But and after that, Nikola Vucevic, he's just a monster down low. It's you can't really go against the man. It's not. I mean, look at his numbers with Julius Randle's. They're about the same. And I understand Julius Randle's been bigger for the Knicks than their number 4 seed right now. I get that. But I cannot take Vucevic out of All-Star with the way he plays for that Magic team when they're so down bad with injuries. Because that's what they are right now. But after that, in the West, Rudy and his influence. We talk about old school basketball and really caring about that. Then you got to care about Rudy being in the All-Star game. That's the whole thing. He doesn't have the numbers that most all-stars do, even though he's averaging a double-double with points and rebounds. But the impact that he has on defense and for that team, and apparently the chemistry is able to, just him being able to repair the rift between Donovan Mitchell and him gives him an all-star vote for me.
So, but here's one thing I disagree with Gobert. You can love the old school style and praise it all you want, but the old school guys that got into the all-star game were still averaging 20 and 10. They were still just averaging.
But they weren't
that much.
playing it. But they weren't playing in today's game. It's a whole different.
Gobert wouldn't be a center in that game.
That's fair.
Knock around with his lanky self.
I'm just saying that it's a whole different game, so you can't exactly make that argument. The only one I'll give you is Chris Paul, mainly, and I do love Chris Paul. I love what he brings to the game. I love the way he elevates players around him. But I do agree that those numbers aren't exactly all-star numbers. You could have even put Devin Booker ahead of him in the first place.
Absolutely.
So I think you could have done that. Brandon Ingram, I don't actually know his numbers, Brandon Ingram, but I'm assuming they're very good.
They are 20, they're 24 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, almost 5 assists a game.
Yeah, that's all-star caliber numbers. That's what it is. It's all-star. That's Donovan Mitchell's numbers right here.
Sharing the floor with Zion and Lonzo.
Exactly. So you could have put him in. All-star teams are hard to make in general because there's so many good players at the time in NBA. And at least the starters, for the most part, I feel like they got right. I know you have the gripe and you want to put James over Kyrie, but
I love Kyrie or even Zach, even LaVine. LaVine should have been a starter.
Zach LaVine has been crazy this year. He's been an absolute monster. So is Bradley Beal. But
Beal deserves it.
Exactly.
I'll make a comment right there, real quick. Yeah. The hate from Nets fans about Beal getting in over Harden. Stop yourselves. Bradley Beal, and they're like, garbage time point. Oh my God, I read so much on the Nets blogs, Instagram crap, where it's like Beal shouldn't be there. Garbage time points.
After all the torment that Bradley Beal's been through in Washington.
Has been playing grown man basketball
for years.
Him and CJ McCollum are carbon copies of each other, just on the East and the West. They are both walking buckets. And if Kevin Durant doesn't exist, we are talking about those two men as two of the most best pure scorers in the history of the game. Okay.
Maybe,
period. They are that good at scoring. So the Beal hate from Nets fans and James Harden. No. James Harden should have switched to Kyrie. Bradley Beal should go nowhere but be a starter. He's getting what he deserves. The man is getting what he deserves.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's gonna round out that.
That's gonna round out that. And that's
overall, you're wrong, but either way,
I hate you. But all right, that's also gonna round out this episode. This is what happens. I'm not gonna say this is what happens when we don't record for a while, because this is what happens when we record weekly too. But we had a fun episode. We had a lot of stuff to talk about. We got deep into things. UFC and NBA took up a ton of it, but it's worth it. If for anyone that's stuck around, I appreciate you guys all sticking around. Go get a Switch, enjoy your Pokemon.
Listen,
and
the UFC doesn't have a card that stupid. We won't talk about it that in depth, but
no, we usually save it towards the end.
Yeah, exactly. A card's so stupid that we had to go into that.
We had to, but all right, everybody. Again, David Cuesta, Alex Cuesta. We actually have a Twitter at CuestaDos. Yes, don't worry about our personal Twitters because we both kind of suck. But go follow the Twitter for Opinions Podcast Network, OPN. Go follow the OPN Instagram page. Go search for it, Opinions Podcast Network. They are both there, and we are growing. Hopefully soon. Yes. We are constantly doing good things. We have Colton Gesser over our Personal Foul Podcast. Absolutely crushing his guest list. If you have not listened to Colton Gesser's interviews on Personal Foul Podcast, then you don't currently like sports. He is getting different athletes. He's got the biggest agent in the NFL that he interviewed. The man is doing things. If you don't know Colton Gesser's name already, look for it soon, because he's not going to be on this network soon. He's going to outgrow us very soon. But overall, give the network a look, give us some love, and I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Talk to everyone later. Blah, boy.